Hi, I'm Evan English from Old English Outfitters. Here today to discuss with you the top 5 handguns of 2020 as they relate to Old English Outfitters and our sales here. We started this video 2 years ago and it was really a hit. Everybody loved it because it condensed a lot of information into a very short video that just told you the top handguns that we had sold for that year. However, our comments that year were kind of skewed. Probably half of them were about my watch and not even about the guns, which was kind of funny. So I thought I'd dispense with that right away and just explain to anyone, any of the watch aficionados looking, that this is a Seamaster Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean. It's from 2008. It was for a 20th wedding anniversary. My wife gave it to me. It might as well be a wedding ring. I wear it every day. And in any case, some of you seemed enamored with that, so I thought I'd dispense with that right away. Now we can just talk about the guns and forget about the watch. So first I want to say that this is a subjective list based on Old English Outfitters here in Southwest Ohio and on our demographics, on our geographic area and what has sold here. It is purely based on quantity or the number of units sold and not based on gross sales or dollars or anything else. We did compile and combine models. So if you were looking at, like say this Smith & Wesson Shield, there is probably 8 to 10 different SKU numbers for that specific model in the Shield 9mm, and we combined those numbers to get a total or an aggregate total for that model, because we may sell 6 of those 10 or 6 of those 8 or 10 numbers that we've got. And so to give a fair representation of each model, we combined those two. Those numbers. Rankings can be dictated by availability. So in a year like this year, if an item is already popular, or 2 items are equally popular, but one is more available than the other, what you'll see is that we have more sales in the more available model. We may run out of one, be out of it for a while, all the while the other one is creeping up and getting higher and higher sales numbers because the availability, the manufacturers made them more available. They got them to us in a timely fashion, and then our customers were able to access that inventory in a much easier way. So you'll see that availability does play a factor, and it played a factor in this year's list especially because COVID-19 was and still is a viable factor in our sales. In a year when our demand is through the roof, is way high, people are going to buy the most popular item that they're looking for or that they've researched, but they're going to buy what's in stock because they're maybe afraid that they won't be able to get anything a month or 2 from now. So there's been some sort of social and political pressure for people wanting to buy a handgun. They want to make sure they get something, so they will buy or prefer what is in stock over what they might be able to get at some future time. So COVID-19 still playing a big factor. So as we start this year's list, number 5 happens to be kind of have a little brother in the mix. Number 5 happens to be the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield 9. M&P 9 Shield EZ. It's a mouthful to say it. It is the EZ version, which has got the Easy Rack slide, the grip safety. It's slightly larger than the standard Shield, but it has been a extremely popular model. We've done reviews on this one, and people love it because you can't talk about it, you can't sell it without using the word easy about a dozen times. Coming in right below it, so at number 6, but would have been the 380 version of the same gun. They look almost identical until you hold them up and see that the 380 is a little thinner. It's just barely shorter on the muzzle and on the butt, but the 380 was very close to the 9. They were right next to one another at 5 and 6. Coming in at number 4 happens to be the Glock 19. Glock 19, most everyone knows what they look like. We happen to be out of stock at the moment, but the Glock 19 is a mid-size 9mm. People especially this year, because it is a standard size pistol, people were really looking for something that was a good home defense, possible concealed carry, and the 19 fits that bill as well as anything on the market. So the Glock 19 9mm, Gen 4 and 5, again, we combined those two because they're the same size pistol, just with some slightly different features, and it came in at number 4. Number 3 happens to be last year's number 1, is the Sig Sauer 365 9mm. It comes as standard as a 10-shot, but you can get 12-shot and 15-shot magazines. And it is, again, extremely popular. It's still got a lot of carryover from 2019, and it was our number 1 in that year. It did have some issues with availability, as because they're so popular, people came in looking for them right out of the gate, and we ended up running out of them a few times. We had plenty on order, but they just weren't getting to us fast enough to keep up with the demand, and so we had some stockouts that could have hurt the Sig 365 in the final numbers, but still really solid performance for the year and extremely high quality pistol. Everybody loves it. It makes a nice carry. It's not too small for home defense, and so it still has a good high capacity magazine, and so people love it. It's been an excellent contender. Number 2, and this one also dictated by demand. It's the Taurus G2c. The Taurus G2c, they made some very good improvements in the ergonomics of that pistol and the way it works. When they went from the Millennium series to what they called the G2, and the G2c, extremely popular. And what makes it so popular, what makes it so high demand, is the fact that it comes in the mid 200s. So at around $250 for the standard model, the G2c is extremely popular. And if we could have had probably another 100 units, we probably could have sold that 100 units just surely based on the price. People coming in looking for their first pistol, looking for something that's going to work well for them, and we easily can recommend that pistol. But at the same time, the price being under $300 makes it very popular, especially for the first-time buyer. And that gun, again, the numbers coming in at number 2 is just for the 9mm version. So before I hit number 1, let's talk about the honorable mention ones that came in at 7, 8, 9 in the rankings, but still had solid numbers. The Glock 44, which is the same size as the Glock 19, but in a 22 long rifle. We sold a substantial number of those to people looking for a practice gun, something that they could shoot economically, and it was its first full year in production, and we really did well with it. The Colt Python, here's another one. If we could have had 100 more of these, we probably could have sold at least close to 100 more, and this is at a $1,550 price tag. So the Colt Python 357 in 4 1/4 and in 6-inch 357 Magnum, extremely popular. This was its first year back after a long hiatus with Colt. It was their kind of the king of revolvers, and people still look to it, and this version seems to have most, if not all, of the benefits and the quality of the previous versions. People will argue about that all day long. I'm just saying, from first appearances, I've not actually fired one, but the way the action works, this Python is a serious performer. Whether it's actually as good as the old ones, you guys can all debate that. The Glock 43X. Here's now 3 Glocks in the top 10 for us. The 43X is the single stack version, 10-shot, 9mm. Again, extremely popular this year, in a year where people are looking for a gun that is good for home, but when they carry, it still fits a smaller hand. If you're looking for a smaller hand because it's single stack, so we can fit this to more people. But the 43X, also a very solid performer. And then, as I mentioned before, what came in right below number 5 is the M&P Shield 380 EZ. So now for the top selling handgun of 2020 for Old English Outfitters, and this was a surprise to me when the numbers came in. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, okay, it's not as surprising as I thought. I just hadn't thought through it very well. So number 1 for 2020 is the Springfield Armory Hellcat. This Handgun is another entry. It is a direct competitor with the 365. So as you look at the size of this pistol, and you even compare it to the Sig 365, what you'll see is that they are very similar in size. They're similar in capacity. However, the Hellcat comes with a, I believe, an 11 and a 13 round magazine. Maybe one off on that, but don't crucify me for that one. But it is a slightly higher capacity, and they advertise that from the Sig Sauer. It comes with a in the standard variation with a fiber optic sight. They also have night sights. They have FDE colors. They have the OSP version. But this one came in tops, and I would say, based on its quality, it was also very popular. It was its first full year. It came out in October of 2019, but this was its first full year of availability. So coming around January, February, they really started to come available and be available on a regular basis. But what made them really sell well was that Springfield Armory kept them available. So the production stayed up. They were able to keep the product rolling to the dealers, and we found that we continued to sell them even when we ran out of other things. These are not an inexpensive version. They're a $500 plus handgun, but people who have bought them have really liked them. We've had very few people trade them back in. We can't say enough good things about the Springfield Armory Hellcat, and obviously the consumers thought so too, because it was the #1 handgun of 2020 for our sales. So that wraps the top 5 list for Old English Outfitters for 2020. Thank you for tuning in to our channel. If you like what you see here, please press that thumbs up button underneath. Please comment on the video, and but not necessarily about the watch, but then also subscribe to our channel. We have a lot of good content, and we'll be back in January with some brand new content and hopefully some new models to show you. Have a great day. We'll see you next week.